Hi everyone. I want to apologize for the previous one I sent you, the previous email/announcement. It lacked audio, and it was my fault for not turning on the microphone. But now the microphone's on. I just wanted to show you kind of some things in MyITLab that will become relevant very soon for you. Now the look here is going to be a little different on mine than yours because I've got like the coordinator role, and I've got like both my classes here that are doing this type of simulation. If you're in the 930 class, your course ID will show up on the left here as Lineros 01609. If you're in the class right after that, it'll show up as Lineros 10397. But let's go ahead and click through, give you an idea what this looks like. When you get in here, go ahead and go to Course Materials. And when you go to Course Materials, you will see basically the ability to expand the Go with Microsoft Excel 2013. There's different things here, some features, some videos that I think are a good idea to look through. Now, before you start a chapter, you're going to have chapters 1 and 2 due in a couple of weeks here. Before you start a chapter, be sure that you read the actual book, the actual booklet that you got, the new one, with the access code. Be sure that you read it before you come out here and just start typing stuff into this. You could get yourself into a little bit of trouble if you take the test and score poorly because you don't really have a good grounding in what's going on. Be careful because the first chapter and the second chapter tend to be really kind of easy. You kind of warm up and they tend to be things that are intuitive. And then when you get into the later chapters, if you try that trick of just jumping into the exam, you could get yourself into trouble pretty easily. Here's some of the student resources for chapter 1. You'll notice that they have some e-text, have a companion website, they have some videos, and some different things you can rely on to try to help you figure out how to navigate the simulation and the end of chapter test that you'll be assigned. Here's the actual activities. You will notice you have, let's just look at the simulation activities first. You're going to have a series of different simulations. You're going to have two simulation tests for each one. Be careful because what tends to happen is the temptation on the part of students is to just jump into here, take the test, and then jump into the next 1B and take the test and be done with it. The problem with that is you have a tendency to score really badly. So be careful with just jumping into that. You will notice that the simulation exam is this kind of green finger here. This simulation exam is an assessment. It gives you an idea of where you're at. Let's go ahead and jump into this and give you an idea of what it might be like. Here's simulation training. This is something that kind of gives you a warm-up on how to get ready for the test that you're going to take via simulation. Here you can notice that it has put you into the Windows 8 desktop. Instead of reading this and going, oh my gosh, what is it wants me to do? What I would recommend you do is come out here to Learning Aids. This is going to be an important component of every single chapter. You can read about what it is that you're going to be asked to do in the simulation. You can practice. You can do some little practice deals and figure out, kind of get your feet wet before you do it. You got Learning Aids, which give you different types of stuff. Let me recommend Watch. Watch is really good. The second one here, let's go ahead and just play a little bit of that. If you go to Watch, if you listen, it's telling you kind of what to do.
To start Excel, on the Windows 8 Start screen, type Excel 2013 and then press Enter. The box, click New Folder.
And here, it's pretty much telling you step by step what you need to do. And that's important because when you come out here and take these simulation tests, it's for keeps, right? So instead of it being simulation training, notice it says training here and it says an assessment scenario, it says training, but when you come out here to the bottom, you're going to have two things. You're going to have the actual exam, the actual simulation exam. Notice this does not say training. It just says simulation exam, and this will actually be graded. When you go into this, be careful. All of a sudden, you're not going to have that nice, tidy resources with video because this simulates what it's like when you're actually in the application 2013. And then you have a kind of a pre-test, post-test training where it kind of shows you where you were weak and stuff like that. I recommend you do that before you launch off into the second simulation, which is 1B. So you got a 1A and a 1B, kind of the same topics. They're going to be very similar. Again, trying to assess your ability to synthesize and understand the information that was presented in Chapter 1 in the booklet and in the different scenarios. You'll jump right into the simulation exam. Notice here that you don't have the nice, tidy simulation training. It's just the simulation exam. So if you need some training, come back up here to simulation training. And again, you have a pre-test and a post-test. That pretty much shows what you're responsible for under activities. So you'll have every single chapter, 2 simulations. Let's go ahead and go back here, and I'll show you. You have, so for chapter 1, for example, you have 2 simulations. That's what we were a second ago. But don't forget, you also need to do the end of chapter test. Okay, and the end of chapter test is hang on a second. Okay, let's try this again. Let's go back. I want to go back all the way so you can see where we're at. Basically, this is where we expanded what we had. And we had chapter 1. It's not under student resources. I clicked on the wrong thing. It's under end of chapter activities. Okay, so you're going to have 2 simulations under every chapter, and then you're going to have an end of chapter activity. And the end of chapter activity you're going to have, notice that these 2 are not assigned. Okay, you're going to see prepared exam and online end of chapter projects. The only reason I haven't blanked these out is you may want to do them for your own individual practice prior to taking the exam, the actual Excel exam at the end of the semester. You might want to go back and do some of these prepared exams. But what is assigned here, as you can see, is the end of chapter quiz. Okay, so the end of chapter quiz you'll be responsible for. So 2 things. You'll have, going back to chapter 1, under activities, you're going to have 2 things. You're going to have 2 simulations, and then you're going to have, excuse me, two simulations right there, and then you're going to have, in addition to that, the end of chapter activities. Okay, so you'll have 3 things that you're responsible for that are actually assigned. That does not mean that you're only going to see 3 lines, because some of the stuff is the training and some of the stuff is pre and post test. But be sure you take the actual examination, both of the simulation examinations for each chapter and the end of chapter quiz. That's all I wanted to show you here in MyITLab. If you have any questions, as always, bring them up in class or text me and we'll take it from there. Thank you.